Hi and welcome to the Nuclear Snail channel. In this video I will address some most common mistakes that post-apocalyptic beginners make. And let's just get started. So number one is going with too much plan or without any plan at all. So there can be a problem especially when you're trying to start your project, your costume, when you have literally no idea whatsoever what you want to do. And since you don't know what exactly you want to do, or what even roughly you want to do, which direction to start going into, you're just having trouble starting. So you definitely need to know what a rough kind of costume you want to make. For example, if we take this one, then on this one what I wanted to have, well, it was actually quite specific, but I wanted to have something really light, and something that I have to have a good body for, where I have to be trained myself because it reveals a lot of my body. And also something that doesn't make me sweat, that is not too hot, that is not enclosed and basically is just a set of straps. At the same time I love hoods. This is why this has a hood, and it also has a hydration pack. So I considered I planned this one to be something light and something practical. While this one was from the beginning supposed to be a heavier armor, as you can see. So there is a fundamental difference between those types of costume, and these are of course not the only two types of costume that exist. But what I did here was just starting out by having a rough direction. So for this one I just wanted something that covers the entire body and something that is heavy, something that is massive. While on this one I wanted something light and something that has a hood and has a practical element to it, something even modern and tactical, like a hydration pack. So the best advice on how to get started is have a rough direction. At the same time, if you plan too much, if you just sit there and plan all the details, especially with post-apo costuming, especially because of the sort of stuff that you find available to you without going overboard searching for stuff for a month, or without paying your ass off for something very specific, you usually will not be able to sketch something and then to transfer it into a physical artwork one-to-one. You might not find the exact sort of gear you wanted to have on your shoulder. So if you're on that end of planning, of over-planning, let go of it. For my part, I usually start just with a rough direction, and if I deviate from the plan as I go, and it is not a big problem in that particular case, then I just go with it. If you look at this outfit, this one is actually rather big and heavy, has chains all over it and stuff, and the original plan on this one was something like this. Actually, this is what I was trying to make back then, but I just got carried away, and it was not a problem. It was just a free work for myself, and basically going with the flow when you see you did something good that you also like accidentally, and just proceeding with it is also, it's legit. Because you're doing this for fun, mostly. So unless it's like a work you're doing for a client, there is no need to overstress yourself with, oh my god, I deviated from the plan. And especially if you're a beginner, just consider what you like. Do you like hoods? Make something with a hood, just go in that direction. Okay, so this was about having too much or too little plan when you start out. The best is to have a moderate amount of plan, in my opinion. Of course, if you're a person who sketches everything perfectly and then is able and willing to, fight for your physical artwork being exactly like your sketch for whatever reason, whatever floats your boat, but I think that just having a bit of plan, a rough direction, is exactly what you need to get started. Not more, not less. Alright, the next one. The thing I see many people do is making their outfits too uncomfortable, too hot, too heavy, too imbalanced, and basically just falling apart and fucking around, preventing them from movement. Here's the thing. Again, you're doing this for fun, probably. Unless someone is forcing you to make post-apocalyptic costumes and props and carry them around. So, yes, there is some certain fun to having a huge fucking gun which weighs 10 kilo. I have one on my wall right here, it's actually 7 kilo. And also having a thick fucking armor and like a huge costume. But if you are supposed to be wearing your outfit for 5 days straight in the middle of the desert, then you should be pretty sure of your physical ability and willingness to do so. At this point, greetings to Mike Camling from Wasteland Weekend. You all probably know Mike. He wears that huge shoulder pad made of bullets, and he told me that just the shoulder pad on one shoulder weighs 18 kilograms, which is 40 pounds. So that's insane. But he knows himself, he knows his body, he knows that he is capable of and willing to do it. It's fun for him. However, if you're a beginner, then I do strongly recommend that you do not start off with extreme costumes like this. And especially for people who sit around at the computer all day, the most time of the year, and then 1 or 2 times go to post-apocalyptic events where they run around, carry heavy stuff, wear uncomfortable costumes and stuff like this, it can seriously damage your back. It did that to me. That's a separate topic entirely. But do not underestimate how much a badly designed outfit can fuck with you. So unless you're already a veteran, a professional, and know what the hell you're doing, start small. Start with something that is easy to wear, something that is not too heavy, something that doesn't imbalance you too much, and something that you will have actual fun wearing. Because if your outfit is super awesome, it can be as awesome as you like, but if you look like a tortured turtle inside of a shell that's too heavy for you, and you're dying and sweating and stuff, then you are also not gonna look good and you're not gonna have a good time. Again, unless you're one of those masochistic people. Greetings to Callum Scott Walker. I'm really excited about your new outfit because your last one wasn't hot enough. So yeah, if you're a beginner, start light, and then you can add again more and more until your outfit is super heavy. For me, ironically, and actually for the most people, it was the other way around. We basically, I think all of my friends started with something really, really heavy and uncomfortable, and as we progressed, we learned to design outfits which are still looking cool, but are lighter and less hot, and basically more practical. A topic that is similar to this is safety. So you see on this shoulder pad right here that I made for someone, it has this deer skull. So on this one, it is really, really hard to poke your eye out with this. I mean, I'm really trying to poke my eye out, and I could succeed with it if I set it as my life goal, but it is not very likely to happen by accident. However, in the past I had a shoulder pad also with a deer skull, which was much more likely to poke me or someone else in the eye. So again, there are of course many people, veterans, professionals, who carry stuff that is not exactly safe, and it looks awesome and they never had an incident with it, and so on and so forth. But consider again, the human body is really squishy. It takes not a lot of force to pierce the skin, and especially if you're wearing post-apocalyptic stuff, it's all dirty, it's all rusty. You don't want to poke yourself or someone else with parts of your outfit or your props. Especially if you're a beginner, you could greatly underestimate how easy it is to accidentally hurt someone. Okay, the biggest difference between beginners and advanced people in martial arts, in all of this show and costuming stuff anywhere, is that the people who are more experienced usually can handle things in a more safe way. So especially if you're a beginner, please consider not adding like 15 long rusty nails to your shoulder. Start with something more safe, like, I don't know, 15 rusty bolts with the blunt end pointing to the outside. When you're confident in your ability to wear your pieces safely, then you can expand to rusty nails or whatever, but I still do not recommend it. In my case, also, all of my outfits got safer and safer as I progress. And also talking about practicality and safety, another related topic is modularity. However, it is not just related to that, but I'll start with this shoulder pad as well. You see right here, there is a screw, so with this screw I can disconnect this deer skull, which is great for transport, because this is more likely to break, and it is also a bitch to transport because it pokes out so much. So I could just disconnect it and, you know, transport it separately, or wrap it up inside of the shoulder pad and then put it back on with just one screw. And if this deer skull breaks, then I can replace it with something else. So there is modularity inside of this piece. And at the same time I make it safer to transport and more comfortable to transport, basically, because of course comfort includes you getting to the event. If you need like 5 bags to carry all of your luggage, and you could design it in such a way that you need less bags and less space, and it is less likely to break and cause you problems on the event itself because you then have to fix it and so on and so forth, then it is a better designed outfit. Another thing about modularity is that if you design your pieces modular, then you are able to do more combinations. And especially as a beginner, you're gonna have to, you're gonna want to make a lot of combinations. You're gonna start out with something, and then you will inevitably be not content with it. You will want to change it, you will want to wear it with other stuff. So that's actually the exact reason why whenever a person asks me, can you make a jacket for me? Then I would usually go like, yes, sure, but are you sure it's a jacket you want? Because if you have a jacket with all the cool stuff on it, then, okay, you have your leather jacket here with all the stuff, but what if it's too hot? What if it is too cold? What if you would like to try something different? So I usually advise them that I make them a shoulder pad like this instead, because this can be worn over a Mad Max t-shirt like I do right now. You can wear something more distressed under it. Which is basically just, you know, some basic distressed pullover or army long sleeve or whatever, and it would already look almost complete. Of course you can always add detail to everything, but if you're doing your first work, try a shoulder pad, because it's easier to make than a full jacket. At the same time, it's located near the shoulders, I mean at the shoulders and at the chest. So it's next to your face, next to the area where everyone is looking at you, and you can combine it with everything else. You can wear 2 shoulder pads, you can wear a shoulder pad over a decorated jacket or whatever. Basically, modularity is the key to being flexible, and being flexible means that you waste a lot less effort trying out different stuff. Because trust me, you will not settle for the first jacket you make and be happy with it forever after. If you're anything like me, or anything like all the people who are doing this post-apocalyptic crafting kind of stuff, you will never be satisfied. You will always want to experiment more, you will always want to make more combinations. So start light, start with modular stuff, and maybe some parts of your modular outfits will outlive many iterations and many under outfits, the things that you wear under a shoulder pad or a piece of armor, for example. Alright, number 3, too much chaos. So there is a common belief amongst post-apocalyptic beginners that the post-apocalyptic setting, all of it is just 100% chaos. It's all death, it's all dark, it's all chaos, it's all rough, it's all 100% just chaos. As with anything that is supposed to be 100% something, this is of course wrong. At least in my opinion. Because again, maybe to you it is, but in my opinion, chaos is a design element, which is very important to post-apocalyptic designs. However, a good post-apocalyptic artwork, same as a good artwork in any setting, because post-apocalyptic, and I say it again, post-apocalyptic is just a setting, not more than that. Just because you're making a post-apocalyptic artwork doesn't make all the design rules go out of the window. Quite on the contrary. So chaos, like with any artwork, is just one of the many tools you can and should be using. So if we take, for example, again, this shoulder pad as an example, you see some chaotic stuff here. It's chaos, death, destruction, dirt and grunge. right here it's torn stuff, alright? But at the same time, on the other side, you see this nice, hard defined edge. Then you see this central element, which is also very defined. And then you see those metallic parts with the holes in them. Here's the third one here. They're arranged at angles which are contrary to the angles of these three belts. Alright, so it actually has a lot of system to it at the same time. And it is, in many artworks, the case that this contrast between chaos and order is what makes it look cool. So when you're doing something chaotic, don't forget to balance with order. Where the balance is, how much chaos and how much order you have in a single artwork, is of course up to you and up to your personal taste and whatever. My personal taste and my artworks also actually have changed from stuff like this with a lot of chaos over stuff like this with a bit less chaos to stuff like this which looks rather clean and tactical. So that tactical aesthetic, by the way, is it's very unchaotic, which is why people who wear a lot of tactical stuff look out of place on events where you're supposed to be 300 years after atomic war and everything looks like the wasteland and there is lots of chaos. So don't take chaos as a heal-all for post-apocalyptic costumes. If you just take a pile of junk and cobble it together without any thought and without any structure, it will not look cool. It will look just like a pile of junk. Obviously, you could also find an aesthetic in that. I'm not judging. But to me personally, I just think that artworks where there is a system and where there is a set place, a set controlled place for the chaos to happen in, where the designer controls the chaos, I like those artworks more, and this is why most of my artworks work with that principle. So here's the thing about chaos. Not too much, not too few, and of course it also should be said that while my distressing videos where I roadkill leather jackets are fun, they're also not a heal-all to making a good costume. If your costume is boring, dirtying it up will not make it interesting. It will just make it into a dirty, boring costume, okay? So how to make your costume not boring? First let's define boring. So boring is something that it's like in telling stories. I always compare costume with writing or dancing, okay? So dancing is much easier to show on camera. So what would be a boring dance? If I would do just this all the time, how interesting do you think my dance is? Not at all. But if I go like, yeah, then it is already much more interesting. Regardless of whether you like the dance or no, you gotta admit, it looks more interesting than just doing this. So, variation. Variation makes things interesting. At the same time, if I just go spazzing around, it also doesn't look like a dance, it looks like spazzing. So if you have too much variation, or in other words, if you're using too much different shit which doesn't fit together in your costume, then it is also not good. So find a balance, okay? And I'm actually getting slowly into my next point. One of the common beginner mistakes is either using too few stuff or just putting everything on it. So putting everything on it is the dancing equivalent of just spazzing around, and using, you know, just military belts and that's it is equivalent of this. However, it must be said that some professionals are capable of using very few elements to achieve a very interesting results. But again, this video is for beginners, so if you're a beginner, try mixing materials and things, but don't go overboard. Again, taking this as an example, you see those military belts right here, okay? And this military gas mask hose, and I like military stuff, obviously. But then here you have something that is like more destroyed. It having been from a military jacket is irrelevant. This doesn't look military. This looks like destroyed artificial fur, whatever stuff, same as this. So I'm mixing materials, I'm mixing elements to create an interesting contrast. And also this deer skull, it's wearing a skull on your shoulder is something tribal. While it's combined with military stuff, okay? And combinations of things that are in contrast with each other and or things that actually play with each other are interesting, but don't go overboard putting like all kinds of shit on it. I have so much stuff lying around here that I could have put on it, but I didn't, because less is more. Not exactly. It is not like just doing something super minimalistic will make it look cool. It's finding the proper balance. It's always about finding the proper balance of amount of elements that interact in your story. Okay, in a dance, you move your hips, you move your chest, you move your head just a bit. Don't make it too static, but don't make it too chaotic and too spazzing either. So same goes for the outfit. I hope it makes sense. Okay, story and history. So why is distressing so important for post-apocalyptic costumes? Because if it's distressed, if it has holes in it, it means it has seen shit. It has history. It tells you a story. For example, if I would add a bullet hole here, it would tell you a story. I got shot while wearing this, okay? This deer skull, it tells you a story. You don't know, you don't have to be sure about what kind of story it is. Like, did I hunt it? Did I find it? But it does tell you something, you know, it's there, it tells you a story. Whatever you're doing, have fun doing it, and subscribe to the channel. Check out my Patreon campaign, because I'm only capable of making this video thanks to my Patreon supporters, and I will see you next time on the Nuclear Snail channel. See ya!